HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
This episode of The Grape Nation is brought to you by Joule Sous Vide by Chef Steps. Joule takes the guesswork out of cooking. Learn more at chefsteps.com/JOULE.
I'm HRN's Executive Director, Katie Mosman-Wadler, with a preview of this week's episode of Meat and Three, our weekly food news roundup. This week, we're looking at the way labels shape our perspectives on food.
I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but is it acceptable to judge a wine by its label?
There are some labels that I'd say are so bad they're good.
As long as your paperwork's in good shape, you'll get a grass-fed label.
Tune in to this week's Meat and Three on Heritage Radio Network. That's Meat +THREE. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to The Grape Nation, your weekly wine journey. Our guest is Rajat Parr. We'll talk wine and words with Raj. I'm your host, Sam Ben-Ruby. Stay with us for The Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network. We bring wine to the people. Born in Calcutta, armed with a degree in hospitality from India, and a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, Raj Parr morphed from food to the world of wine. Raj worked with the best in wine, including Larry Stone, Michael Mina, Rubicon, Fifth Floor, and RN74. Always thirsty for more wine and wine challenges, Raj moved into the world of winemaking. He is now the proprietor of Sandy and Domaine de la Côte in California and Evening Land Vineyards in Oregon. Raj Parr is a James Beard Award-winning author, celebrated sommelier, sought-after speaker, and is considered to have the best palate in the business. He just wrote a new book with Jordan McKay called The Sommelier's Atlas of Taste. Welcome back to the Grape Nation, Raj.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks. Good to be here.
All right. Congratulations on your new book, The Sommelier's Atlas of Taste, which will be coming out and available when, Raj?
October 23rd.
Okay, October 23rd. Bookstores, Amazon, everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably Amazon's the best deal.
Yeah.
If you want a signed copy, then you got to go to my website, Raj Parr Wine Club.
And, at the end of the show, we'll talk about, how you're supporting the book and if people want to meet up with you at some point. And then we'll point them to the website for any dates and all of that. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the book. Multi-pronged question. How did the idea of this book come about? When did you start writing it? How long did it take? And what did it entail?
Took a while. So me and Jordan wrote our first book, The Secrets of Sommelier, in 2011. Came out. And so then right after that, the publisher asked if we have another idea of a book, and we didn't. So we kind of sat on it for another year, and then kind of one day over at dinner, we said, let's find something to, write about. And we decided on this topic, and the Atlas of Taste is in 2012. And then we didn't start any work on it until the end of 2012 when I went to Europe, and the idea of the book was that to have in one book all the classic regions of Europe and discuss in detail why the wines taste the way they taste, specifically from the soil perspective. But also write it in a fun way, because Jordan's writing is very fluid and sometimes funny. So
Right.
So like you can open the book and go into any region, any classic region: Bordeaux, Jura, Alsace, Wachau, Mosel, and understand the soils, and then kind of talk about why the wines taste.
All in, how much time? 4 years? 5 years?
Of research, 13, 14, 15, 4 years of research.
And how many trips back and forth, if you have a count? 2 hands?
Back and forth, probably 10.
Really?
Yeah, many hours in a little car, many days sleeping in a small room, sometimes the same bed, and trying to,
But that's sort of the part you relish, because you're with the winemakers. You're in the field.
No, it was amazing.
Right?
It was
the connection.
It was amazing. It was, oftentimes cold, and you miss home, and you feel like a green salad, and you only get a baguette. So
Right. Enough with the baguettes.
Yeah.
All right. So the word taste obviously is in the title, and it is the prevailing theme of the book. So you helped me frame this question from the book, and I want you to explain. Tell me the difference from how does wine taste to why does wine taste like this?
Yeah.
And I think the book moves more towards why does wine taste like this?
Yeah.
So explain that and differentiate.
Yeah, I think that the word taste is the most important part of the title, because oftentimes wine is mistaken just on the nose. To really understand the wine, the taste, the texture, the flavor profile, the concentration, the minerality, it's all in your mouth. And our tongue is what really feels the sensation of the wine. The nose is great, you can smell it, and it's a very important part of the wine. But to really discuss the place, it's the taste, it's the tannin, it's the fruit, it's the density of the wine. And this book is very focused on minerality and flavor of wine and sense of place.
So we taste wine and we say, how does it taste? What you're saying is, why does it taste?
Why does it taste?
And all the things you mentioned, tannins and all of that.
Yeah, and it all comes from the soil.
People don't think of that.
Yes, in the soil, because the same grape grown on limestone versus granite will have a different taste.
Right.
And that's just the way the vines have grown, and the same grape and can taste. And so we're discussing, there's a lot of comparisons in the book about, difference between, Sancerre and Puy-Fumé, or, Vouvray, Montlouis versus Savennière, or versus, Saumur Blanc. And those are all, it's the place where it's planted.
Right. Right. All right. So how do we taste? Do we taste with our mouth? Do we taste with our nose? Is it a combination? When people put it in their mouth, is it really their mouth that's working, or is it something deeper, involving your olfactory?
So I don't want to give too much away, but the first chapter is very intense, and there's a lot of research done on this topic of what our tongue tastes. Because we taste from our body.
Right.
In your taste, in your tongue, and it instinctively it goes to your mind, and you have a sense memory of childhood or of yesterday or of whatever, and then our body comes in play, because it's very visceral. It's not just like, oh, just shoot it and we're out. It's the wine has the energy of the wine starts in your tongue, goes into your brain, and then your whole body feels it. That's why when you have a great sip of wine, you're like, wow, this tastes, because it's your brain cells are like, wow, this is amazing. This reminds me of this, or this gives me this kind of sensation.
So one of the things you said in the book, although it's not scientific, because a lot of it is emotional, and there was some science, and you allude to that, and we don't want to ruin it. Read the book, but this Does the science say, because you talk about an emotion too, you know, it goes in your mouth, into your body and your brain and all of that. Are we tasting as much as we're smelling as much as we're tasting, or is it really the taste touch part?
The taste. I think it's a taste, and that's something I've been saying for many years. It's the taste, and then that kind of triggers off the emotion in your brain, and to really get a sense of place, you must taste the wine.
Right.
And one of the things also. It's fine if you spit the wine out, but you don't get the same emotion until you swallow it. And then the first sip, and you're like, wow, this is like, you know.
But you know better than anyone that when you go to a tasting,
of course,
you have to spit.
Yeah.
But if you are with
100%.
friends drinking wines, the real sensory experience is
100%.
You know, getting it in the mouth, aerating, and all of that. All right, tell me why in the book, it kept coming up, words like minerality and terroir are so controversial.
Yeah. I mean,
you seem to take exception to those, and terroir has sort of morphed into another word in the book to you, which I think you said typicity.
Yeah, typicity.
So, why are words like minerality and terroir?
I think that a grape is a fruit.
Okay.
And we love fruit, but then to get a sense of place, it might have a connection with what's under the vine, and that's the rocks and the soil and the clay, whatever the case may be. And the word minerality is the expression of the grape from the place. And it's the only word you can use. I mean, you can, even though that word is controversial and we address it in the first chapter, it is, you can't taste the minerals. You cannot taste the minerals from the soil in the wine, but there is a relationship between the soil and the wine, and it's where the vines are grown.
But you said earlier, you take the same wine, a Sancerre or something, and it's either on limestone, schist, or granite. I mean, those are rocks, minerals, and all that.
Yeah.
Can you not say minerality and go, this is a very schisty Sancerre, this is a very granity, or you don't even want to go there?
Yeah, you can go in there, but the typicity. I mean, again, we didn't do that much soil science, and you do fit minerality, but it's not the same mineral.
Right.
Like limestone gives you kind of a salty taste, and maybe granite gives you kind of bitterness, and that's just, that's what we feel, right? And we are not soil scientists to kind of, maybe in the next 50 years, there will be some studies to find out what the compounds in the wine are relating to the compounds in the soil, but we want to stick to the word minerality because when you taste a wine from limestone or from silex or from granite, you do get specific flavors, and that's what we kind of narrow down on in the book.
Right. So, for me, tell me what typicity is. Just give me the definition compared to terroir, or how you integrate it and use it.
Yeah. So terroir is like a macro word of the place, what's below the vine, what's above the vine. That means the area, the weather, the soil, the vine material.
So a lot of people think of terroir as just like the ground or the dirt.
No, it's
You're
not,
talking about the place.
It's the space below and above. That's
terroir.
That's terroir.
Okay.
It's a very, very complicated word, and we try to use it as little as possible because it has so many different meanings.
Right.
And now that we use typicity more because typicity relates directly from the soil grape wine.
Soil grape wine.
So basically, the typicity of Chardonnay grown on limestone versus Chardonnay grown on clay or sand, or any grape you can. That we want to keep it kind of a direct link from the soil, the grape, and the wine in the bottle or in the glass.
All right, so I'm a little confused, but you'll help me with it. This is a good time to ask you and introduce how the human factor plays into this. And I think there's two areas where the human factor is a big deal. I think terroir or place,
Yeah.
and climate,
Yeah.
which I think you said was part of terroir, but not necessarily typicity.
So
So the human factor, how does that interact with the terroir?
Yeah.
And climate change, climate. I mean,
yeah.
talk to me about. I think that's important.
I think the human factor is maybe one of the most important things because vines grow on their own, but vine needs, you need to trellis it, you need to prune it, you need to, do whatever we do on your canopy, and then you have to harvest it. So all this
a lot of attention.
Yeah. So it's.
But
it's,
you
it's
also
it's
left out that a guy just takes a barren piece of land and from nothing starts a vineyard.
100%.
I mean, that's a total human
Absolutely.
factor interaction, right?
What you plant, how you plant,
Yeah.
what direction you plant. So it's very much, man-made.
So is that a good thing, a bad thing?
It is
That's
what it is.
Thing. That right.
I mean,
is what it is thing.
I mean, there are abandoned vineyards from a long time ago, but you can't. It's not always going to exist and be great. So that's the first, the human factor of like how a person, a man or woman, they plant and they take care of the vines. Then when you pick the grapes, then you have to pay attention on the cellar. You have to.
Now you talk of winemaking.
Yeah, so then the word winemaking is like just take the grapes through fermentation, right? Age it, bottle it, and these are all things which a person does. It doesn't become on its own. If you let the juice just ferment and leave it alone, the goal is it's going to become vinegar.
Right.
So you have to do whatever to it, rack it and sulfur it, don't sulfur it, whatever the case may be. You don't.
Right.
But so that the human factor is huge. So that is a big part of terroir also, because a person's his own idea of the wine
His expression.
is his expression, and
Right.
and so now you have a human factor as a part of the terroir also, and you could change the terroir because if you do a whole cluster, it would be destemmed. So all these things are
So when you
it's
talk
not as
about
simple.
place or terroir, it plays into the wine, but the reality is the human factor, how wine is touched,
Yeah.
has such an impact on it. Now, the natural wine movement, they're low interventionists and all
Yeah.
that. There's organics, biodynamics, and all of that. I would guess that would play a positive factor
Very positive because
on terroir in the earth.
the mycorrhiza, all the good.
What about
All the
climate?
microbes.
I mean, is climate changing? Is it affecting harvest?
Oh, for sure.
Is it
Climate's
something winemakers can control?
Climate is
Is it out of
changing.
control?
Climate is changing rapidly. Not necessarily hotter or colder. It's just erratic. There's what you had consistency of the weather is completely out of wax. And
So
that,
give me examples when you're farming.
I'll give you an example. Maybe the best example I'll give you is in Beaujolais, for example, right? It was many vintages. It was, you can barely get to ripeness and you can make a wine at 12.5%, and that's it. And now you have a string of vintages, which are warm vintages and sometimes low crop due to hail or frost, and you have to pick at ripeness, and the wines are much riper. In the last, if you taste...
What are you talking, like 14, 15, 16?
Yeah.
Those vintages have been...
No, not 15, especially 15,
Yeah.
17, 18. You see a lot of Beaujolais at above 14%.
Big time climate influenced.
Yeah,
wines.
so that's kind of same with Burgundy. You used to have to chaptalize and kind of like get to 12.5%, 13%, and now it's naturally at 13.5%, 14%.
Jesus.
So so that's going to change the typicity, or what
Right.
you call the place, the sense of place might be different, and it's just evolving. Nothing is constant.
You have 3 wineries, different areas. 2 are in California, one's in Oregon. Are you feeling it there? I mean, every harvest is a different
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, so like we had the opposite one this year in San Rita Hills. I think we had like one day above 90 degrees. One.
Is that not typical?
No, we usually have several days above
okay.
90, but
So it was cooler.
Coldest vintage
Okay.
since 11.
Don't you like a cool vintage?
I do, but I'm going to give you an example. I love it. We picked into October, which is amazing.
Right.
Which is like, picking Chardonnay in the beginning of October is that crazy. In 14, 15, 16, we picked Chardonnay in the middle of August.
Wow. You had to get it off the vines.
I mean, this is kind of crazy.
Here's the perfect example.
3 years you pick on August 15th, and then 1 year you pick on October 7th. That's not close.
And you have no idea next year to plan.
Yeah, that's 6 weeks after the previous. I mean, it's just so.
Now, when you teach, I know you talk to old timers. I mean, vintages were challenging, but was it as drastic as now? I mean, when people look back.
I mean, there's still drastic vintages, but what now is you have to be a lot more focused on viticulture because things are changing so quickly. You don't know if you're going to. Is your May going to be? Are you going to flowering in May? Are you going to flowering in June? What's happening? It's just.
It's a little unnerving.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a day. I was in Burgundy last week, and it was like 80 degrees
in October.
In Beaune, I was just like, wait a minute, this is kind of
crazy.
I got there, I had my jacket. I was like, wow, I need like a sweater. No, I need like a T-shirt now. Everything is.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so things.
All right, we're talking to Rajat Parr. Raj's new book is The Sommelier's Atlas of Taste. Raj, in the book you covered classic wine countries, regions, grapes, mostly Europe, France, Italy, Austria, Germany, and Spain. You left out some regions.
Yep.
How did you decide, on the final list? I think you'll make most people happy, but somebody may look for Portugal.
Oh, yeah, Portugal, Greece.
Not putting you on the spot, but how did you come to your...
I think that we had a timeline of how long we got to finish the book in. And we tried to find a vein, a story we can tell of the place. There are regions we tasted, which we didn't include in the book because
give me an example.
We just didn't. I'd rather not give you an example because
is that the Sommelier's Atlas of Taste Part 2?
Yeah, no. There are a few because we didn't find, the story, and then we could have included Greece and definitely Portugal.
Right.
But I think that the wine evolution is happening now, and it's, of course, Port is well known, and Douro is well known, and there's other things happening, and in Greece there's so much happening.
Yeah.
But it would take us, months of more, and we just decided to just stick with.
So nothing was really left out, like almost with Greece, not ready yet, or.
No,
Greek wines are great.
Yeah,
in the areas
but it would.
You had time constriction.
It would have taken a longer time to understand because there's, and also look at Italy. Italy could have we only wrote basically, Tuscany, Piedmont. And Sicily, basically Etna. So also wines which you can smell and taste, and it takes you right there.
Right.
It wasn't about really a discovery. Of course, we could have included other regions in Italy, but also places where we actually could find data on the soil.
Right.
A lot of places in Italy we couldn't find data on the soil.
So it would dictate
the
some extent of how you can get into it.
And some places there were only 2 or 3 producers who were at the top. So, we have to also have a sample set of producers. And
when I ask you this, it's not like the book's not a hefty coffee table book. I mean, it's pretty, substantial. And, like you said, you walk through some of the other regions. So, we'll see down the road. I realized in the book as I read through it, there's pretty much of a template in a good way.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down. I mean, you basically talk about country, region, varietals. You have a discussion of place and taste, which is really, I think, an important part of the soul of the book. And a cool thing is every region, you pick your top picks, which is nice. So when you read through this, you go, what should I drink? And there it is, Raj's picks. Walk me through the the setup for all of
Yeah,
that?
so-
I mean, did
so-
you imagine that before you wrote it?
No,
or-
no. So all the writing Jordan wrote, and because he's a way better writer than I am, so he does all the writing, sends it back to me, and I can take a look, and we kind of talk about what to add or take away, and then you have the person who actually edits the book. In this case, Emily Timberlake. She works, at 10 Speed and based in California, and so she built the template because she took all the writing and kind of because it has you want to be consistent in all regions, but.
So you had all this vast information.
Yeah.
When you realized it was all out there, there were silos for Italy. There was this discussion of taste.
Because
it's
all different. If you look at every region could have a different angle, but you have to find a consistent way. So if a reader wants to go on to read about Piedmont or about Burgundy or the Jura, you have you have a consistent, and that's what makes it an amazing project to work with someone like 10 Speed, who they have a team of people.
They got it right.
They do editing. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And that was very important to kind of put that in context, because many when you write a book, you can just keep writing,
right?
And then there's no real kind of way
Structure,
to kind of because you want we want this book to be of course be read, but also a reference book.
I was going to ask you that.
You want to go back to it
when you look at the book. There's a lot of soul and feeling and opinion, and then there's a lot of information.
Yeah.
I said to you before the show, for my show, it becomes a reference book. If I have a guest on, we're talking about Beaujolais or whatever, or Burgundy, the information in there. So did you intend it to be a reference book?
Absolutely. No, that was the idea in the beginning. It was a reference book, because you can go back, and if someone who is just first time having Beaujolais or is a Beaujolais expert wants to kind of quickly go and say, oh yeah, what do we have in Moulin au Vent? What's the story of Moulin au Vent? What's brewery all about? And you go in there, boom, check out the breweries. Okay, or you go to Jura. What are the different soils, and what makes Jura different than Burgundy, because they're so close and the soils are somewhat similar in a way. So just that, because you come back to it, and it's in one book. You can go to we could have included so many other regions, but.
Any regrets that you didn't, or you explained why?
Yeah,
but now that it's covers are on, it's like shit.
Yeah. No, honestly, we didn't the one region I would have loved to add, but we didn't have enough data to is Savoie. That would have been amazing. I love the region, but it was hard to put it in a chapter, because it's different parts. I mean, you could drive in Jura. If you go 10 miles, it could take you 2 hours.
Right.
You could go up a hill and go down. It's so. But
this ain't your last book, so we could figure out where to park. It's a big undertaking.
I tell you,
that oof was unsolicited. It's like, I'm not ready to do that in the near future. Is that what that was?
Yeah, start to finish, 6 years.
Okay.
And then
What, did it take longer to write this book than?
Oh my God.
Okay.
No, the first book we wrote from beginning to end was less than 12 months.
Oh, okay.
This book was 5 years of research.
Yeah, well, on the ground.
Yeah.
I mean,
we went to we wrote about places we went to. It wasn't like we wrote about places and people we didn't talk to. Everything is recorded. We have recordings of every interview on the
when
place.
You sit down.
Yeah. It wasn't like we took something out of nowhere and just wrote about it.
Right. It was very well thought out.
If something is missing in the book, it's because we didn't go there. So people might say, "Oh,
missing's not even the word. You didn't get there, or
so
you'll get there eventually, or whatever." This was a curiosity of mine. I mean, I kind of know the answer, but you got to answer it. You devoted 16 pages to Bordeaux and over 60 pages to Burgundy. I mean, I counted them twice to make sure I wasn't wrong. I know you love Burgundy, so that
I love Bordeaux too.
I know, But I guess the question is, what the hell happened to Bordeaux? I mean, it was a fraction of the pages.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
indicting you
No,
or
no,
the
no.
coverage, but why does that play out that way? Is Burgundy so enthralling and thrilling to you? Is there that much there? Or is Bordeaux easier to explain in less pages?
Yeah, I think Bordeaux is easier to explain because the geology of Bordeaux is complex, but it's not as complex as Burgundy.
Okay.
And the
And
examples.
that's what this book digs into.
And the examples of the differences is also portrayed in the wine because, as you know, from 1 hectare of vines, you could have 5 producers making wine from
Right.
1 hectare.
In Burgundy.
Yeah, in Burgundy.
Yeah.
So you are like, okay, so now you have 5 people's expression of that little piece of land versus in Bordeaux, it's you have
5 different explanations.
Yeah, and then you have you have a chateau which might own 25 to 50 hectares,
Right.
And then they make one wine out of that. So
That explains it a little for
yeah,
sure.
but also the art of blending it makes Bordeaux, and it's the opposite in Burgundy. It's the art of not blending. Well, what if someone decides to blend, Musigny with
Doesn't happen.
with Richebourg and with Chambertin?
Doesn't happen.
So so we have
And-
3
and-
explanations for
Right.
and
Those are good ones.
So that's why I mean,
funny.
trust me, I love Bordeaux, and I tell you, of a whole trip, it was our favorite part.
Bordeaux?
It was amazing.
You even
So-
gave the Rhone more pages than Bordeaux.
Oh, Rhone is so much bigger and wider.
No, I
and,
know.
and
That
different
requires
wines.
all the
yeah,
coverage and
different
everything.
wines. Yeah.
Daniel Jonas was recently on the show, and he taught. I asked him a similar question because he's truly a Francophile and a Burgundian. He stated, in Burgundy, you're in the cellar with the winemaker, and if you look at his hands, they're basically purple. You go to Bordeaux, and the guy owns a big chateau with a custom-made suit. No indictment against
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but it's a different vibe
Yeah.
and all of that. But your explanation is real. I mean, there's just so much more, involvement and detail in Burgundy.
It's Bordeaux is grand. The Cabernet is one of the grandest grapes in the world for sure. There's no doubt. But in context to, if in Bordeaux, if each, I won't say they should, but if each chateau decides to do 5 different bottlings from their property around, it could become like Burgundy. It's not, because the soils are, you could go from gravel
didn't Al Braunstein do that at
Oh yeah, of course. At Diamond Creek.
Diamond Creek,
they
where
still do.
took the terroir in a small, area.
Yeah, so
they don't do it in Bordeaux though.
Well, it's like Hermitage. It's the art of blending.
Right.
I mean, Jean-Louis Chauve can make 7 different wines from his property,
And he does.
and he makes 1, sometimes 2. So so that's that's a cultural idea, right?
Right.
So of course you have the soil, but remember that all these things are very cultural.
Right.
And Champagne is very similar. I mean, now you see these little single crew, blah blah blah, from everywhere.
Is that grower champagne?
Growers, even like Krug is making the Ambonnet and Menil. So
They're designating.
yeah, but think if every of the Grand Marques say, oh yeah, I'm going to make 10 different bottlings. It could change the game really quickly. And
Do you see that? Take champagne specifically. Do you see a movement towards that?
Champagne is also a very complex.
Yeah.
It's
different unto its own.
Yeah.
in that
So
sense.
even though the many of the big producers are brands, but within them they realize they have these little crews and these little vineyards which are like, which stand out. So,
Right. So-
do you blend it together with the massive blend or bottle it separately?
Do you think you're going to see? Well, you said
You
Krug.
you already see it from other producers.
Right.
Jacques Jacquesson does all these different bottlings and.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're already seeing it. I mean,
Some guys are bottling 4, 6, 8 different bottlings,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
From one relatively small vineyard.
Yeah.
All right. After writing the book and the script was done, Was there any region or anything that you became even more excited about or energized after doing the book?
You know,
You look back and go, wow, that I didn't realize the Rhone or, Bordeaux, whatever. Any change?
Yeah, so a region I visited many, many times and I fell in love deeper was Piedmont. And to really kind of, love the wines, I've been there many, many times, but then to really taste and visit different vineyards and kind of, see the...
You got into it the way you had gotten into other
it
vineyards
was,
and winemakers
yeah.
in Burgundy or whatever.
It's one of the, everyone, it's not a secret, but it's one of the most important wine places on the planet, and it's the soil diversity, the people producing wine there, the whole culture, everything about it. It's one of the most amazing places.
Would you say that in your day-to-day, week-to-week, year-to-year travels, of all the wines that you taste, drink, go out for business and not, are you drinking less Barolo? So the fact that, or wines from Piedmont, so the fact that you were there,
no,
you drink a lot anyway?
Not a lot, because,
less than other wines?
You have to be in the right state of mind. You can't just sit at home and say, oh, yeah, I want a bottle of wine. Let's open a bottle of Barolo.
Yeah.
We had a bottle last night at Fausto. We had a bottle of 05 Rinaldi, Beppe Rinaldi.
Rest in peace.
Bronate. But, it's not a wine you can just open and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to sip on the wine. But if you have a great dinner with great bottles of wine, that is one of the greatest. It's up there with the great Bordeaux's and the Burgundies and anything else.
It's as great for that as any wine.
Yeah. And the ageability and still, in the high echelon, but still the value is still there.
Right. So when the book was done, the Piedmont region, you felt, even better about it. We made several trips. With Jordan, I was there once, but before that, to do other research, I was there twice before. So you brought up an interesting thing by saying that. In all the research, I assume you and Jordan were together a lot, but there was a lot of times where
we were together. So before I took Jordan to all these places, I went myself, because to find what would be, the who to see. So you do a little triage of, you go see whatever, 30 producers, and then you narrow it down. You want to see 5.
You do the advance work.
Yeah. So the triage.
And then Jordan's with you when you're getting down to it.
Yeah. Jordan and me, we did together, I think, 4 months in Europe over 3 years. But before that, I did myself. The first 3 years I did my own.
Good amount of time, alone and together.
Yeah, so I can't take notes anymore. I'm done.
You're done.
I'm no more taking notes on every wine you taste.
That's it. Just drink it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
We're talking to Raj Parr. Raj's new book is The Sommelier's Atlas of Taste. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, a couple more questions. I want to talk to Raj about his wineries, current harvests, and bottlings. I want to subject him to our wine list and a few other things. You're listening to The Grape Nation. I'm Sam Ben-Ruby. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by Jewel Sous Vide. Hey, you can host the most delicious dinner and wine parties this holiday season with Jewel. I'm going to tell you how. When you cook with Jewel, there's zero guesswork. So steak, chicken, seafood, turkey, roast, eggs all come out exactly the way you like them. This gives you plenty of time to taste test your wine and food pairings course by course. And cooking with Jewel is hands-free, so you can focus on your holiday guests, watch the game, perfect your recipes, and most importantly, making sure you have enough wine to serve with your great food, while Jewel does the work. Jewel, perfect food every time. To get yours, visit chefsteps.com/Jewel. That's chefsteps.com/JOULE and use the code HRN to get $15 off for a limited time. That's chefsteps.com/JOULE, code HRN. All right, Raj, one last thing before we get into what's going on with your wines and wineries. I asked you, what region you were excited, energized about, Piedmont. What's your biggest takeaway, memory, challenge from writing the book? I mean, when you look back.
I think the travel was tough in the winter months, and those were
just physically.
Physically, it was, and just to every day be on it. And if you're in the winter, sometimes you're sick, but you got to be on.
You're not feeling.
If you're gonna go see one producer, the only time for the book, you better have game face ready to go. It wasn't like you can't tell someone who you had appointed 6 months ago, say, "Oh, I can't," I'm not going to show up or something. So it was physically really
demanding.
It was and you got to be on and we both of us sometimes I was not feeling well and Jordan wasn't, so we stepped it up. So Jordan stepped up in some places where I was like and because we had normal jobs and this we snuck all these things in. It wasn't like we took.
Right. We're going to talk about your winery.
5 years.
That's not a hobby.
No, it was a huge sacrifice. My business partner Sashi Morman, who allowed me to go and just it was instead you go and sell wine or you go and research for a book. So it was there was sacrifices made by everyone, especially
including what you pointed out as the hard work, the years of it, and having to put yourself up to it.
Yeah,
I mean, are you with one of the greatest winemakers and you have a cold? You can't smell crap. It's like, oh boy.
What
are you gonna do?
Yeah,
right?
so just a lot of echinacea and
no,
but all in all, it was and also to kind of
labor of love.
Yeah, keep focused and get the relevant information to kind of, crunch it in. And that's, that was also because there's so much information. We could have written a book 5 times that size, but you have to also, you have, the number of words that the publisher wants. You can't just, it's not a self-published book. You have to still be the parameters. And
so that was a discipline because it's a big, lengthy, detailed book.
Yeah.
God. All right, let's talk about what you're doing back in the States. Let's talk about
my real job.
Yeah. Let's get to your real job now. You got this stupid book out of the way. No, congrats on the book. We'll tell everyone where to get it. So how are things at your wineries? Let's tell everybody you have Sande Winery, Domaine de la Côte. And I think around 2014-ish, you took over Seven Springs, Evening Land.
Yeah.
So quickly, just, let's not assume everyone knows everything. Just give me a quick walkthrough on each winery.
Yes.
Sande was your first, 2011?
So Sashi Morman, my partner in crime in all our wineries. So he and I, we started Sande in 2009, and then Domaine de la Côte, first vintage 2011, and then we acquired the historic Seven Springs Vineyard. Evening Land is the name of the company, and that was
Oregon,
in the Willamette Valley in the Eola Hills, and that was 2014. So now, we have Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in all 3 wines. Sande is mostly from grapes we buy and vines we rent.
So that's
mostly from that.
Right.
Now we
Pinot
Pinot Chardonnay only.
Right.
And Domaine de la Côte is mostly Pinot. Sande is mostly Chardonnay, and so Domaine de la Côte is our estate vineyard, which Sashi and Chris King planted, and
the vineyards are in
the Santa Rita Hills. So we focus. Domaine de la Côte is all Santa Rita Hills. Sande is Santa Rita Hills and Santa Maria and Santa Barbara County bottling. And then Oregon, it's only Seven Springs Vineyard, all estate, all from our property.
Pinot and Chard.
Pinot, Chardonnay, a little bit of Gamay.
The Gamay is only from Seven Springs?
Seven Springs, and a little bit of Chenin Blanc.
Okay. I've had the Gamay. It's very good. Domaine de la Côte is your vineyards where you can express different.
Yeah, it's our estate.
You know, tell me about some of the name designations.
Yeah, so we
you
do
cracked a Blooming Field the other night.
So we have 4 single parcel bottlings: Memorious, Bloomsfield, Lacote, and Siren's Call, and on 4 different soils, same plant material, same planting year, same vinification, no additives. So just to express the place. And,
so that winemaker loves that because you have different sites and the expressions.
Yeah, so we don't change anything in the wine. We kind of keep it the way it is. And yeah, it was a dream.
All right, so if people want to drink and get their hands on Raj Parr's wines, what's the best thing they should do? Go to each site?
Yeah.
So Sandhi is Sandhi.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming that's an Indian word?
It is.
It's
a Sanskrit word, means collaboration or unity.
Okay.
Because it's all negociation. We work with different growers.
Right.
And that's the...
So Sandhi is Pinot Noir and Chard
Chardonnay,
from California. Just Google it.
Yeah.
Domaine de la Côte is an estate-grown multi-vineyard.
Santa Rita Hills,
Santa Rita Hills, Pinots and some Chards.
Yep.
And for Oregon fans, you have your hands in...
Seven Springs.
Chard, Pinot, and a little Gamay and Chenin. I'm sure it's pretty limited what's available and all of that. Did I see, in relation to these wineries or some of them, that you started a wine club?
Yeah. So
tell me about that.
I mean, we love Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, of course, and I always have, always need things to kind of push us, and so we decided to do a little wine club where we make other wines, other grapes. We have Cabernet, Napa Valley Cabernet from Coombsville. Merlot from Coombsville. This year we had a little Zinfandel from Lodi, some Pais from Amador.
So is that the objective of the club, to offer wines that are not the core grapes of...
Yeah. And
is there any of the Sandhi, Domaine de la Côte or other stuff in the wine club, or it's all...
We haven't done...
That's a cool concept.
Yeah, we did some kind of a carbonic Pinot from another vineyard, which we don't make for Sandhi, and there's some skin contact Pinot Gris. There's different. There's and also looking at the vineyard sources, like people people who farm, organically and that kind of stuff. So we keep it in the same idea of all the other wines, but we make it in the same way with no additives and
your philosophy.
Yeah, the same.
So this is your way of getting in the sandbox and playing with other toys.
Exactly.
Right.
And Mourvedre from the Anne's Vineyard, Cabernet from up in Carmel.
So just quickly tell me about the process. Are you thinking now about next year you're going to make a Grenache or some of the Italian white? Or it's
Grenache
a little
this
more
year. We made Grenache this year. That's right. Yeah, no, I think that...
a little more spontaneous.
But good vineyard sources, people we know, farming, which is done the right way.
Will things come about when somebody says, I got a lot of extra juice, do you want to do it, or it's not
No,
Okay.
It's very... And every wine has an inspiration from another wine. Right. So it's not just like it's random, but not that random.
Right. If I want to find out more about the wine club, where should I go?
Just Raj Parr Wine Club.
Okay.
That's the website.
Just Google it, or it's Raj Parr Wine Club.
RajParrWineClub.com. It's there. It's
that would be a fun and interesting play for people.
Yeah.
Because if you love Raj and Raj's wines, he gets his hands on some other things, and
all the wines made by us. It's not It's not contracted out by anyone. It's all we make the wine either in Lompoc or in Salem.
Are you still in the restaurant biz?
Yeah.
Do you talk about that?
Yeah. I've worked with Michael Mina since 2002.
Okay, that's a long time.
So I'm off the floor. I don't do operations, but I still kind of keep an eye on the flagship restaurant.
Still involved with him?
Yeah, he's family. He's like it's our lives, and I definitely I'm around as much as he wants, and I have a small restaurant in Santa Barbara called BBG. It's Indian.
which is the brother or sister to New York.
Yeah, so
Babaji?
Jesse, who started Babaji,
Jesse Singh,
and then he opened BBG, and then we were partners, and then he left. He moved to back home to Melbourne.
Right, he's an Australian Indian.
Yeah, and now the restaurant is run by Alejandro Medina and Gary Singh, who was the chef and the general manager. They basically own most of the restaurant, and they operate it. And I'm just there to eat and drink.
Make sure the right wine is on the shelf.
Well,
which when you talked about being with Michael Mina, I mean, you really started on the floor and everything, and helped him build that whole wine reputation. I always ask guys like you, what was that reason or motivation from moving from sommelier to winemaker to winery owner? Is it something that was always in your plans, or you realize I want to, or I got to do this?
No, it was not
because
planned.
You're in it deep, man.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, we have a lot of friends. A lot of guys who've been on the show who have a little winery or a piece, 400 cases. You're in deep.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
It just happened by chance, because when I was working in the floor, I was just curious how wine is made. So I started making a little bit of wine in Santa Barbara, a little bit in other places, and just to kind of understand what how wine is made.
Was it as much that as I got to get off the floor? Or
No,
it wasn't. No, you enjoyed the floor.
Yeah,
you were intrigued by.
First vintage 04 till 08. When we were making Parr selection wines, it was just for fun, a little bit here and there, just to kind of, and then we got serious with Sandy in 09. But I didn't move to Santa Barbara until 2013, because I still worked the floor.
Right.
So I went for harvest. I should come back.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara's way south.
Lompoc was 4 hours away.
Right.
So
it's not a morning drive.
Sometimes I went back and forth the same day.
Eesh.
So, but anyway, but then slowly I was like, wow, this is it's actually something I really enjoy, and eventually just wanted to have a kind of a...
And still
simpler,
enjoy?
Oh, I love it.
Fulfills all your expectations, challenges?
I love living in Santa Barbara. And I know I can, always come to San Francisco. I don't go there that often.
But you're a pretty good traveler.
But yeah, I just drive. It's longer.
I guess right now, you're a frantic, frenetic guy, your lifestyle. But do you take that deep breath because the book's behind you now? I know you have to promote it, but is that a weight off your shoulder you can enjoy?
Yeah, no.
Get back to certain things.
No, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the book tour, and then I'm looking forward to just being home.
Right.
After that, and
we'll talk about the book tour in a minute. Raj, before I let you go, I want to subject you to our wine list, because our listeners, and certainly I, am very curious about our guests and important guests like you are drinking. So we ask you 5 questions. We did this the last time you were here. I know you don't remember the questions, and you didn't prepare for them. So let's buzz through them. All right. So the first question on the Raj Parr wine list is, what are you drinking now? What's on the table? What are you tasting, experimenting? Is it for work? Are you intrigued with an area? Or
yeah, I guess
now seasonal.
Yeah, because now we're into fall.
Right.
So it definitely, transitioning. I think we've.
So what does that mean?
Put our rosés aside,
okay,
and move into a little, more like Gamay and some Trousseau, something kind of fresh and crunchy, and that's always in the mix. So have Gamay is probably I probably drink more Gamay during.
Daniel Jonas, I said, was on the show, and I said Beaujolais is just kind of blown up, or it's having its day, and it's just a very drinkable. Do you have a couple of favorite producers or wines you like?
Oh, yeah. The classics, Lapierre, Foillard are always great. But there's a lot of new producers. There's
you got one or two new producers you want to throw
one
on?
new producers. They're good friends, and I was just with them recently. Domaine Chapelle.
Chapel?
Chapel.
The husband and wife?
Yeah, exactly.
Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle Smith, who's to be at Brooklyn Fair. And then
right.
With her husband, they have a son, 2 kids. And, yeah, they got a nice little small domain there, and
you're not the only person who's brought them up, so they must be doing. Now you said Trousseau. You talking French and American, mostly French? Give me a Trousseau favorite.
I'm saying French, American, Spanish. It's,
okay.
I mean, the grape. the French might argue this, but my research says that grape is from Galicia.
Really?
Yeah.
So the Spanish Trousseaus could be great.
Yeah. So Bastarda
Right.
or Menentau, depending.
Nice.
Because they have so many different names. So,
Give me a Trousseau. What good one?
I love from Jura, Tissot, Stéphane Tissot.
Tissot is a classic. That's a good one. Right, say no more.
Yeah.
All right, I always ask people favorite wine and food pairing. Something you go back to.
It's always the same for me. It's always.
I should remember this. What is it?
It's always Zuni Cafe roast chicken.
Chicken and Pinot?
And Allemand Cornas. It's always the same. That's
okay.
Like, it's this.
You know what? I have to look up. You were on the show a couple of years ago. I got to see if that's what you said.
Oh, it's.
But I mean, Zuni makes the greatest chicken in the country. Allemand is the great corn. It's just a great.
Yeah.
That's a classic. And in the couple of years I've been doing the show, people have said chicken and other stuff, but not Zuni chicken and Allemand Cornas.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You could go New York, you can go Europe, you can go San Fran, you can go Santa Barbara. Favorite wine restaurant and our bar. Just a place that's fun to go into. The selection is great. Yeah. The people are great. The wine knowledge. You're not leaving any friends out, but what feels good when you do it?
I'll probably give two restaurants because they both are like my favorite for different reasons. One is Pasquale Jones.
Okay.
Right here in New York. And the other one is Ventre in Paris.
Vantre?
Vantre.
Right.
It is one
Is it new or old?
Yeah, it's new.
It's relatively
It's one of the greatest wine restaurants in the world.
Really? Is it fancy?
No, it's casual. Little simple bistro-like restaurant in Paris, owned and run by a good friend, Marco Pelletier, who also makes a little wine called Domaine de Galouchet. And
so the wine list, the food, everything's working.
It's a very personal. He has a lot of wines in his own cellar. He has a lot of classic wines, natural wines. It's tiny. Open lunch, dinner, just a great spot. Yeah.
I tell everyone this. I post all your answers on our social media. We do a Raj Parr wine list. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll put it on Instagram. That'll come after the show. All right. This will be interesting because I'll compare it to the last show. And it doesn't have to be one. Favorite all-time wine? And that doesn't mean the most expensive, the rarest. It could be experiential. Today, if you had to answer that question.
Favorite? Oh, wow. This is a pretty, this is a loaded. So today, as of now,
because I bet you when I look up the answer, it was different last time.
Yeah.
What's resonating with you today?
It's Syrah. We've moved, because for some reason.
Get me to region. Are you talking Cornas? Are you talking
Saint Joseph? Cornas, Saint Joseph, probably,
little age on it, or even current vintages. Give me a couple of makers you love.
There's basically two.
Gonan.
There's Gonan and Chave, and that's a good Tuesday night wine, and that's a good Saturday night wine.
Okay,
and
that's just a favorite.
You're talking to me in October. It's going to get cold now, so
no. That's talking now. That's a nice thing.
Good crunchy Syrah from the Northern Rhone.
All right, those are good ones. All right, I ask everybody this. I have different types. I have winemakers, sommeliers, I have distributors, retailers, and all that. I ask everyone to recommend best wine around $15 retail, 15, 20. Give me a red, give me a white. You can give me a maker. You can give me you could say Muscadet is the great. You can give me. Anything.
Yeah,
my kids are in their 20s. I always say they're going to a dinner party. They got to step up. Spend 17, 18. What's the best wine, red and white?
Maybe like Pepier Muscadet.
Okay.
And
so Muscadet on the white's a solid.
Yeah, it's friend. Maybe the. Lapierre has what's it called?
Raison.
Yeah, Raison.
For the red?
Yeah, it's, again, gamay, fresh, carbonic, crunchy,
So that's the play.
Yeah.
For reds and whites to stay in that price range. Those are good choices. For good reason, you're not the first person who said that, just because, they're not a ton of great wines in that price range. All right, so that's Raj Parr's wine list. Like I said, I'll post everything. Raj, we're going to wrap up the show. If you have a question, suggestion, wine happening, or event, hit me up at sam@thegrapenation.com. That's sam@thegrapenation.com. Follow us on Facebook at The Grape Nation. Follow us on Instagram at @SBenRuby and The Grape Nation hashtag. On Twitter, we're at Ben Ruby. Also subscribe to the Grape Nation podcast. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Like I said, we will post Raj's wine list and book info on our social media sites. But let's go over that quickly again. I told everybody where they can go for your wines. So we talked about that. We talked about the wine club. The book is called The Sommelier's Atlas of Taste. It is available at Amazon and fine
Amazon,
bookstores.
Yep.
I think the best thing would probably be to order it. If you want to follow Raj on social media, where do we go?
At Rajat Parr.
That's very creative. All right. So, Raj, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I always love having you on. You're not done. You're going to have to come back for some reason down the road.
I love to.
You can't say to me, well, wasn't I on a few times already? You're always welcome on the show.
Well, thank you.
Good luck with the book. So thank you to our guest, Raj Parr. Raj just wrote Sommelier's Atlas of Taste. Thank you to everyone at Heritage Radio Network. I'm Sam Ben Ruby, and you've been listening to The Grape Nation.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.